All right, let's go again. We're looking at the tabernacle and we're getting an idea about it. And we got up on page 2 in lesson 5 to where we were talking about the tabernacle, the tent of the congregation. This is halfway down the page. Was really only entered by the priests, right? To go into the holy place even was only entered by the priests. The people, and we have to get an idea about this. The people could be in the court, but not in the tabernacle itself. But even in the court, only certain, not that many people could fit in. It was 46 metres by 23 metres, so it wasn't that big. At the most, you could put in a couple of hundred people. Usually there wouldn't be nearly that many. Understand this, of course, only men could go into the court, and most men would probably only go into the court on rare and special occasions, particularly on the Day of Atonement itself, which was only once a year. Only those people who had a particular reason could be in the court, and probably each boy on his 12th year, on his bar mitzvah, he would be allowed to go in once on the Day of Atonement, and then he might go in again a couple more times in his lifetime. So not that many people could go in, but those that went in were representative of the congregation, right? And so the people could only be in the court for the sacrifices, right? You couldn't just wander in and out for nothing. You were in there for a specific purpose. Every day there were morning and evening sacrifices, plus the wave offerings and the heave offerings and peace offerings and trespass offerings and all the different offerings. And so there was reasons that you could go into the actual court of the tabernacle, but you could never go into the tabernacle itself. Only the priest could go in there. And the priests, the sons of Aaron, went into the holy place every day. Now there was a roster system, and the Bible tells us about the roster system. And we remember that Zacharias, John the Baptist's father, he was on the roster system when the angel spoke to him and told him that he was going to have a son and name him John, right? So there was a roster system, and they went in to trim the lamps on the golden candlestick and to add the olive oil and to burn the incense on the altar of incense. And they also went in to change the showbread. There was a table of showbread. Remember, when you go into the tabernacle itself, on the left is the candlestick, on the right is the table of showbread. And the bread on that was changed at regular intervals, and the Bible tells us exactly about that. And then there was the altar of incense straight in front of you. The high priest only the high priest went into the Holy of Holies ever, right? No one else ever went in. He went in once a year on the Day of Atonement on the 10th day of the 7th month. And that's in Leviticus 16 and Leviticus 23. And we'll look at the Day of Atonement in detail in the next lecture. We'll start on it. But that was once a year the priest went in. Now the priests had special clothes that they had to wear when they were on duty fulfilling their office. And Exodus 28, 40 to 43 tells us about that. We'll just have a look at that. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles and bonnets. That's a little hat. Shalt thou make for them for glory and for beauty. Now this is what it was for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother and his sons. This is talking to Moses with him. And thou shalt anoint them, and consecrate them and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make them linen breeches, that's trousers, to cover their nakedness. From the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come into the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they may bear not iniquity and die. And it shall be a statute forever unto him and to his seed after him. So they had special clothes to wear that they were to put on whenever they went into even the holy of holies, even the holy place. And to go into the holy of holies, the high priest once a year had to have a special set of garments. And Exodus 28, 1-39 gives us a comprehensive picture of them. And these were to wear in the Holy of Holies once a year on the Day of Atonement. These clothes, like the skins of Genesis 3:21, remember it says, unto Adam also unto his wife did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothe them, right? These clothes on the priests and the high priest, like the skins of Genesis 23, were to impute righteousness to them and to be a covering. It should be there, and to be a covering for their sin and their sinful nature. So they were special. Without these clothes they couldn't go in, and if they went in without them, what's it say? Lest they die, that they may bear not iniquity and die. And would they die if they went in without the right clothes? Well, yes, they would, because there are instances where it happened that they did die because they didn't do it right. So we've established what the tabernacle looks like and what was in it, and now we need to look again at the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant was the central piece of furniture within the tabernacle. We have established that it contained the testimony, that's the law and the commandments. Now, within it, inside it, was the law, the 10 commandments on the tables of stone. They were in the ark. On the side of the Ark of the Covenant, there was a little thing made where they put a copy of the ceremonial law in there. And we'll talk more about that as time goes on. When in its original form, like when the Ark was first made, this is all that was in it. And as far as atonement, propitiation is concerned, this is what we'll deal with in these lectures. But it does as well to have a good look at the Ark and get an idea what it was like. We'll go to Exodus 25, because as soon as God introduced the idea of the tabernacle, the first thing he put in place was the Ark of the Covenant, right? Verses 10-16 of Exodus 25. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood. So it was made out of wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof. So that's in the old scale, 2.5 cubits. 2 cubits is 3 foot. So it was about that long. Can you see that? About that long. About 4 foot long. And a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. Now, measure out for yourself with a tape measure at 45 centimetres a cubit, and you'll get a perfect idea of it. It was a chest, like a box, and it was longer, and it was a cubit and a half wide, and it was a cubit and a half high. So it was as high as it was wide, and it was longer. So it's a rectangular box. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold. Within and without shalt thou overlay it, and shalt make upon it a crown of gold round about. So it was a box with an open top, but around the outside of the top was a crown, like a crown that the Queen wears, all raised up around the outside of the top of it, right? And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it. Now it was made out of wood, but it was covered with gold. When you saw it, you saw no wood, but the wood was there underneath, and that's very important. But it was made out of wood, covered with gold, and all you saw when you looked at it was gold. Right. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof, and 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side. This is to carry it. And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. So these were poles to carry it. They were made of wood, and they were covered with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee. All right. And so we get an idea of what the tabernacle looks like, what the Ark of the Covenant looks like. But you say, so that's an open box that's got the 10 Commandments inside it. It's got a little thing on the end that you put in a copy of the ceremonial law. Is that all there is to it? Well, no, there's not, because we've got the mercy seat. Exodus 25:17 to 22, and we'll read that. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2.5 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and 1.5 cubits the breadth thereof. And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold of beaten work, and thou shalt make them in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Now what happened to make the mercy seat? And this was actually the lid to the ark. So you couldn't actually see the 10 Commandments, they were inside, but it was covered up by the mercy seat on the top of it. Right. And the mercy seat itself was made out of pure gold. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold. Now, pure gold is not like the gold in your wedding ring. The gold in your wedding ring is so many carats, and that means that's a measure of purity. But this was to have no impurities in it, so it was pure gold. So, in fact, instead of looking just like yellow, it would almost look like it was clear. And so you've got this mercy seat on the top of the ark, and it's made out of a talent of pure gold. So it's a huge piece of gold, and it's made into a flat plate sort of thing. And on each end of this plate, there's cherubims, and it's all made out of beaten work. So it's unique. There can never be another one exactly the same, because it's handmade out of beaten work, out of one piece of gold. God said, take one piece of gold, a talent of gold, and beat it out until it's flat. So it'd be heavy, hugely heavy, like a talent. It's really heavy. And on each end is a cherubim, an angel. And make one cherub on the one end and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall you make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. It was all of one piece, beaten work. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another, so they'll both be looking toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubim be. So they're looking towards each other and down at the mercy seat. There's one on each end, and their wings are out over the top, and they're looking down at the mercy seat. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark, right, so the lid. And in the ark they shall put the testimony that I shall give thee, and there will I meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat. So it's a very important place, isn't it? A very important thing to have. From between the two cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all the things which I give thee in commandment unto the children of Israel. So he said this is going to be the meeting place of God and Israel. God's very presence, his Shekinah glory, is going to be there. And we've looked at it now, and we looked again at the Ark of the Covenant, and we've established that it contained the testimony, the law and the commandments, and in it originally that's all it had in it. But it needs to be noted, however, that at various times in history the ark contained other things, and these are significant, and we'll just look at them here. Now, we won't, they're not really a part of what we're actually doing, but we'll keep coming back to the ark, and because we will, we need to understand that at different times it had different things in it. So, first of all, there was an omer of manna in the ark. Now, do you remember the story about how the children of Israel came out and they cried unto God and they complained bitterly that they didn't have food to eat, and God said, I will give you manna. And now manna, this manna, the word actually means what is it? And it was like a sort of a bread, and you could cook it or do all sorts of things with it. And an omer is approximately 2 litres. So there was this container that had manna in it. An omer is a measured quantity, so it was a certain amount. And there was an omer of manna that was put in the ark, and it was a perpetual manna. It says you're to put it there for your generations. And we'll just have a look at this. Exodus 16. 32 to 36. And Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord commanded, fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came unto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah, so we do know what an omer is. It's a measured quantity. It was perpetual manna for your generations. Now when they first were given manna, they were to collect it 6 days of the week, and on the 7th day there was none, and they weren't to collect it. They went out, and some of them they were to collect a set amount every day, enough for just that day, and to trust God for the manna for the next day. But some of them went out and they collected more than they needed so they could keep it for the next day, and when they did, it bred worms and it stank and it went bad. But this was perpetual manna for your generations, and so they put it away, and it didn't breed worms and it didn't go bad. And it was put in a pot, right? The Hebrew word for pot indicates a vase or a vial. It's taken from the Hebrew word, Exodus 16:33, it says, and Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put the omer in it, right? Now this word pot, it's taken from the Hebrew word for a thorn, so it's probably tapering, thin at the top, and wide at the bottom, right? Tapering at the top, or tapering from wide at the bottom to narrow at the top. And this pot was made of gold. It was a sign, Exodus 32, for remembrance, so that in the future generations they could say, God did give us this manna in the wilderness. It was also a type or a shadow of Christ as our perpetual manna